Hey everyone, it's Julie here with TipRanks. Welcome to our Friday crypto convos. I'm here with our crypto guru, Annika. We're going to get caught up on some of the crypto news happening this past week. Annika, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to jump right into the thick of things. This past week, we've seen crypto, Bitcoin specifically, going up and down around this $100,000 price point, dropping off last week, going back down below 95,000, back up above 100 again. What's been going on here?
Okay, so it's natural to see a drop in Bitcoin's price. I mean, lots of traders are cashing out. I mean, there's loads of new people entering the market. So many short-term Bitcoin holders actually have sold their coins as they saw the prices rally to about 100K, 104K. I think it even went higher. So this profit taking added this selling pressure. Naturally, people want to, cash in, take some profits. It's the safest way to ensure that they didn't lose the initial capital that they invested. Now, this, of course, causes a lot of selling pressure, and naturally that cooled down the rally. So without a big rise without a reset is unsustainable at a market peak. So that's the number one reason as to why we saw it drop immediately, and it wasn't sustained for too long. And the second thing is that there were too many sellers. So there has been a lot of heavy sell side pressure in the market. So it made Bitcoin harder to climb, and it put a sort of limit on how far prices could really go. People are seeing the price go to 100, they're cashing in, it drops again. People say go back up, and then they cash in and it drops again. So that's why we've been wobbling around that 100K mark. And then lastly, now we had some new inflation data that kind of surprised a lot of investors. So it was a mix of high inflation and economic weakness. So this made people get worried about things like stagflation. So, that ends up causing people to stray away from Bitcoin. In the past, people used to actually buy Bitcoin when they thought inflation was very high, but now Bitcoin is so part of mainstream adoption. Everyone is, buying in when there's confidence in the market, and when inflation is higher, then confidence is less. So a lot of people have actually been selling their Bitcoin because they're afraid that inflation concerns are going to persist. Now, the reason it is recovering, so there is good news. The reason Bitcoin has recovered so quickly when we keep seeing those quick drops is because a lot of big buyers are stepping in. So lots of Bitcoin holders, the larger ones known as whales, they've been making massive purchases. We've also been seeing lots of crypto mining companies making purchases over the last week, Marathon Digital. And on top of that, we've also seen a lot of consistent demand during the dip. There were still lots of buyers coming in that were scooping up Bitcoin, even though prices were probably going to drop when they kept reaching that 100K mark. And then lastly, there actually is some optimism when it comes to interest rates. Now, although we saw, the inflation results as being mixed, where I believe CPI was less and the PPI actually was higher. Despite that, people are still betting that interest rates are going to go down. And apparently, the odds are currently at 98% with people believing that interest rates are going to fall. So, lower rates usually boost assets like Bitcoin and they add more fuel to that rally. So, there is still a lot of bullish momentum.
All right, and something you said there brought me to our next question as well. What do you think of all of these Bitcoin miners buying Bitcoin following MicroStrategy's strategy?
Yeah, this has been such a game changer, what we've been seeing happening. So, there's a few reasons. So Bitcoin miners are definitely taking a page out of MicroStrategy's playbook. They did start the trend, where they started aggressively accumulating Bitcoin instead of selling it off. But miners have been doing that. Marathon Digital, so Mara Holdings have started to do the same thing. They've been buying more Bitcoin instead of selling their reserves to cover costs. So what's been happening is that the reason my miners have been buying Bitcoin instead of selling it has been first the reward halving that happened in April. So we all know about the Bitcoin halving event that took place in April, but a lot of people didn't know that there was a reward halving, which means that miners now get fewer Bitcoins for their work. Then secondly, the mining process has also been getting more competitive and harder as a lot more people have been joining in to cash in on the rewards that miners get. So it's become tougher to make money from mining. So miners are also holding on to their Bitcoin rather than selling it, or in fact, even buying it. So, MicroStrategy's approach has been very bold. They've accumulated, what I think, 425,000 Bitcoin worth. So if you think of the price of Bitcoin at $100,000 roughly, then that's $42 billion worth of Bitcoin today, and they started in around 2020 and their stock has absolutely skyrocketed to 2,500%, I believe, roughly this so far. So a lot of people have been seeing MicroStrategy stock rallying, so that Marathon Holdings thought, let's do the same. And now I think they're the second biggest corporate holding Bitcoin. So they hold around 3.5 billion in Bitcoin. But now this is my opinion. It's not as smooth sailing as we think. I think there are risks. So MicroStrategy's success has, yes, it's been hinged on Bitcoin's price going up. But what if Bitcoin's price was to drop significantly? That would create a big problem for MicroStrategy. They're so deeply invested in BTC. And not only that, but they are also using debt to fund their Bitcoin buys, which again adds another layer of risk for investors
Yeah.
that are investing in MicroStrategy. Because, okay, sure, if Bitcoin performs well, and I personally think it will, but if it does, then yes, they will get big gains. But if they don't, and Bitcoin's price doesn't keep rising or the market turns, they could face major challenges. So I do think it is a very high risk, high reward situation. Essentially, miners are betting on Bitcoin's future.
Sure, absolutely. And then to wrap things up, we're going to go slightly political here, I guess. We're hearing a lot about Trump's administration wanting to make the markets more friendly for crypto, even the moves of removing Gary Gensler there. So, how quickly do you think we can see some of these changes be put into effect?
So yeah, Trump appointed Paul Atkins as the SEC chair for the Trump administration, and it's definitely been seen as a win for the crypto industry for a few reasons. First of all, he's been a strong advocate for innovation and basically less red tape, and that's been a massive shift compared to the aggressive regulation by enforcement that approach that his predecessor, Gary Gensler, used. And well, Gary Gensler was just not pro crypto. There were so many lawsuits and heavy-handed fines that he used to put on different companies. And, the problem with that is that can really stifle innovation in the blockchain and crypto industry. So that said, Atkins is pro crypto, but I don't think the changes will come immediately. Changes can't come that quickly because it's the law. He can't just snap his fingers and be like, hey, overhaul everything, because
Yeah.
there is a lot of legal groundwork laid under Gensler that still holds. So it would take time to undo or clarify things, plus with the ongoing lawsuits like the ones with Coinbase and Ripple, Atkins will have to work within those legal precedents to
Hmm.
make any substantial changes. So yes, we can expect progress, but it's more likely to be gradual than an immediate 180.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up there so we don't drag on too long here on this lovely Friday. Thank you for our crypto updates. We'll see you back here next week for another crypto conversation. Everybody watching, let us know in the comments your thoughts on the crypto world right now, what kind of topics you'd like to see us chat about. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Bye.